What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to tonight's Late Night Agenda, and I do apologise sincerely that we've had to push this stream back and that I was still a couple of minutes late. Life sometimes just gets in the way, unfortunately, so I do apologise for that one, but I am here now, and yeah, I'm good to go. So we've a few things we need to get through, a couple more potential offers for some Liverpool players, a little bit of breaking news over the past day or so around a possible incoming, a name that you would have heard in the past but that we haven't certainly spoken about for a while because things have gone quiet. And I often say to you guys, sometimes when things go quiet, it's not always a bad thing. So again, we'll go through that. We'll go through lots of other bits and pieces as well. Apologies if my camera looks a bit different today. It absolutely hates me wearing this top. This is one of the blackout 2005 shirts, and it just hates me wearing anything this dark. So yeah, we've loads to get through, and again, I do sincerely apologise. I really appreciate your patience and that you guys have been waiting around. I'm sorry, I hate delaying the stream, but I had to get my head in the right place. It's been a mad couple of weeks, and look, you don't need to hear that, but we're here to have a bit of fun. So look, what are we going to go with tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Where do we want to kick off? Do we want to talk about Saúl? We want to talk about Shaqiri? We can talk about Mohamed Salah? Or we can get to the new one. We'll save the Houssem Aouar talk for a few moments time, because I know people are going to be coming in late to the stream, getting notifications and stuff like that as well. I like this comment from B1 straight away to start off. Said Chelsea have too much money. You know, mate, I often look around at other clubs and think similar. And I was reading another great piece in The Athletic last night. I feel like I'm plugging them a lot lately, even though I'm like in no way affiliated with them. But they are a very, very fine organisation. They have some great writers involved. But so I was reading the comment section on one of the Liverpool articles, and you know, there is this whole moral dilemma that we as Liverpool fans have, isn't there? Like, you know, we've got owners now who are doing things within their means, but we ain't happy with for very obvious reasons. But then at the back of our minds, we also don't want somebody to come in and use us as their plaything, or, you know, somebody to come in as a sheikh, or somebody to come in with a sovereign-backed fund or something like that, because we like to do things in a particular way. So it's really mad the way we tread things as football fans, isn't it? The way we have to weigh things up in our heads and stuff. Philip Hunt, how are you doing? First super chat of the day, said, hope you're well, can't wait to see my audition video. I'm going to enjoy being your second presenter. I did see the audition video. I've seen every audition video that's been sent in so far, Philip, and look, you know, I am anything if not honest with people, and I've not seen anything yet from anybody that has caught our attention, that we think is the right fit for the channel yet. And that doesn't mean people can't go do their own things. It doesn't mean people aren't good at what they're doing. You know me, dude, nothing but honesty always. I don't tell people any lies, and as of yet, you know, we've yet to receive somebody that we think will be a good fit for us, but you know, that's now. Things change. And I do appreciate everyone, by the way, that has taken the time to send in a little video. And I don't like to call it an audition video, because that's not right. We just need to see what you're like in front of a camera. We need to see if you'd be a good fit. That's all. It's not an audition video. I mean, that sounds very overly dramatic. Hi, Craig. I hope you're well. I'm all right, Angus, mate. I mean, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes on my personal life that has nothing to do with content or anything that I've been struggling with, so you know, but you don't need to hear about that. That's why I'm a few minutes late, so I apologise. I just need to get my head straight, so I'll come on and have a bit of laugh, because everybody tunes in to have a bit of fun and not to listen to me bitching and moaning. So let's have that fun. So look, let's kick off tonight. We'll talk about Saúl, the name that just keeps becoming more and more complicated and more relevant, yet less relevant as the days go by. So what do we know? Well, I have been delving deep into the situation at Barcelona. As you know, I've reached out to my friend in Spain, but I've also been reading as much information as I can around everything going on right now. And it seems that Antoine Griezmann is not a very happy dude, because Antoine Griezmann apparently wasn't consulted over this whole potential swap deal between Barcelona and Atleti over. So, well, first of all, it was Saúl and Griezmann, and then it was Griezmann and João Felix at one point, and apparently that was quickly batted away. But look, if you really dig into Barcelona's finances, we spoke about this the other day. So they've sent out some players on loan. They've sold Junior Firpo to Leeds. They've sent out Trincao on loan to Wolves, and they are desperately trying to free up a load of money, whether that be in wages, whether that be in the way they can amortize contracts across player, or money across players' contracts. So basically, think of La Liga as having their own inbuilt financial fair play system, where, from what I've read, every club has to supply information and they get given a kind of a wage cap scenario or a ratio of what they can spend, yada yada yada. So to cut a long story short, Barcelona are in a position right now where their wage bill has to be approximately somewhere between 1/3 and 1/4 of what it was 2 years ago. Now, the reason that they seem to have been able to keep a lot of their stars last year without having the same pressure was because, and probably rightly so, a lot of clubs were given leeway with the football finances because of the impact of COVID, and that's understandable. But there seems to be a bit of an argument brewing between Barcelona and Tabas, the guy that runs La Liga, and they want the exemptions, and everybody wants Messi and their point to stay in the La Liga. But right now, I mean, it's going to be a fire sale at Barcelona. So you've got a load of players who are on a lot of money who've already deferred some of their payments, who've taken wage cuts. But you will probably see a lot more of them going out the door because they have to really, really, when I say really trim their wage bill, I mean astronomically trim it and trim the outgoings that they have. So that's why you'll see the likes of Griezmann being linked with moves away. That's why you'll see them trying to get Felipe Coutinho off the books, because from what I read, both of those gentlemen apparently earn about €20 million a season, which is give or take €380,000 a week before tax, something like that. So you can see why they want to try and move players on. But this kind of full circles back to what I was speaking about the other day. If you're a big English club now, be it Liverpool, be it Arsenal, United, Chelsea, whoever you are, and you fancy any of those Barca players, well, now is the time to go and put your foot on their throat, because they are struggling and these players can be gotten. So I'd love Liverpool to test the resolve about Pedri, but I don't see it happening. But the Saúl stuff is very intriguing, because you're hearing at one point that he fancies a move to England from some sources. Other people are saying that we're very close. Other people are saying we haven't made any contact. I don't know what the situation is, but as somebody who obviously has been watching Barcelona my entire life, I'm both appalled and intrigued to see what goes on and how this situation resolves. Hey Craig, I'm a huge fan from Ohio. How are you? Oh, dude, you're not a fan, you're a pal. We don't have fans on the channel, mate. We have friends on the channel, and you're a friend, sir. So thank you, Herman, and lovely to know where you're from, dude. Barcelona were so stupid in signing expensive players like Dembele, Griezmann, Coutinho. Yes, look, the regime before the current one certainly made a mess of the finances, it looks like, and more stuff has been uncovered as the days go by. And you're right, the signing of Griezmann, of Dembele, of Coutinho, not only did they overpay for these signings in most people's opinions, but they couldn't afford them. So chickens, roost, and coming home, put those words in a particular order and you'll get where they are right now. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have much sympathy for them. So I guess, where am I going with this really? Well, it comes back to how I started the stream. We as fans don't ever want to be in that position. We've seen with the Hicks and Gillette scenario how close we were to the Royal Bank of Scotland calling in that debt and perhaps the club becoming bankrupt, or but I wonder if that being leveraged against us as well by FSG mentally, because we know we're on a stable footing. So this is where I think the divide is within our own fan base as well. Sorry if I'm rambling a bit, I'm trying to piece this together in my head as I'm speaking. So I'm grateful in some ways for the steadiness at which we have at the club, but I'm absolutely fuming in other ways, if you get where I'm coming from, because there's only so many times you can hear the word sorry and we've learned our lesson without really fuming. But I'm also aware that the window ain't really finished yet. So any Sanchez updates? No, I have a feeling, again, just a feeling, if whatever midfielder we look for. So for instance, let's look at Neuhaus. So I looked into Neuhaus again last night, and apparently Liverpool's interest is still there in Neuhaus. Now, there was a €40 million release clause in Neuhaus's contract, which has since expired, making any potential deal, if there is to be one, far more complicated, because we can't just go in and go, okay, here's his €40 million release clause, pay it, talk to his representatives, get the deal done. That has expired, so that then means that Borussia Mönchengladbach, with the apparently know about the interest that Bayern Munich would have in the guy. So it makes it a little bit more complicated. So the reason I'm leaving Saul up on the screen right now is because we still need to talk about this midfield situation. Will it be Saul? Will it be Sanchez? Will it be somebody else that we haven't spoken about? Will it be Neuhaus? Will it be Gravenberch? It's very intriguing. And what I'm pretty confident about as an outside observer is that we won't see any of this resolved until we get an attacker in, because attacker has to be the priority with the AFCON coming up. Now, again, I say that and I sound hypocritical because in one breath I'm going to say you don't sign a player just to cover for a few weeks, but in the other breath I'm going to say, well, we probably need a player. So yes, it's great that we go and get one, because we will miss players for 2 or 3 games of the league season when they go to the AFCON, but you don't sign players for 3-4 years on the strength of a month. So there is that to keep in mind as well. So yeah, loads to get through tonight. Does Real Madrid want Salah? Right, let's get straight to that one. You've asked the question. I've got some information, so let's get to that one. Right, so there's a report out today that said Real Madrid are showing interest in where is it gone? Real Madrid are showing interest in Mohamed Salah. It comes from the Express. So again, take whatever. If you think the Express are trustworthy or not, that's for you to say. All I can say is that the piece says Real have been fluttering the eyelashes of Kylian Mbappe. Look, we all know about that one. It's no secret that they want Kylian Mbappe. But reportedly could look at a move to Salah as a backup plan if PSG refuse to let their prize asset walk this summer. They go on to talk about his goal scoring record. But then the key part for this is the last line. However, there have been rumours of discontent from Salah's camp over the past few months, heightening speculation he could near the Anfield exit. Now look, as somebody who's been around football as an observer, as a fan for a long time, and reads this media stuff every single day of the week, that comes across in one or two ways to me. I've always laid out my fear around Mohamed Salah if we don't tie him down to a new deal quickly, that there will be people that will come in and test their resolve to hold on to him. And 2 years left on a player like Mohamed Salah's contract might sound a lot, but it very quickly becomes 18 months and then he's into his final year and we're in an Mbappe situation. So the sooner the better we hear positive news on Mohamed Salah's contract talks with Liverpool. Great, because until then he's there and available to be tapped up, for want of a better phrase, because he's always struck me as somebody who wants to feel the love, and no doubt he feels it from the fans. Of course he does. We love Mohamed Salah and we want him to sign a new deal. But there are other clubs. Now, where the hell Real Madrid get the money from, that's another conversation, because Florentino Perez does tend to live in a parallel universe to the rest of us at times, and he does talk a lot of... I mean, if you want to see what he talks, Google what's been released about him lately, what he's said about other people in the past. I mean, it's no point in me saying that the info's out there publicly for everybody to go and have a read of. So I thought that it was PSG we needed to worry about, because if they lose Mbappe, it's no secret that they look at Salah as somebody who could come in and do a job, and somebody who is ready to come in and help them win a Champions League. So for us, I just hope and hope and hope that Michael Edwards, that Jurgen Klopp, that everybody associated with the club are showing Mo the love and making them feel like we want them and get them tied down to that new deal, because the last thing we need to do is get to the end of this transfer window. Kloppo thinks he's built his squad, and then all of a sudden we have a Coutinho moment all over again, where we thought he was going to be happy, but then boom. Now, I'm not saying Mo will do that. He strikes me as a very honourable man, and every action that he's had at the club has always been put across that way, and he seems like somebody who enjoys his time here. But as somebody who likes to feel the love myself, I do understand that side of it as well. So I'm very worried around Mohamed Salah, but I would ask how the hell Real Madrid are going to pay for him, because they've got their own financial headache as well. Yasir said Aouar, I will get on to talk about him in a couple of minutes. They can't afford Salah. A load of people are saying absolutely, and therein I agree with every single one of you. They have this mad plan, and we've seen Sergio Ramos when he was talking about a kind of parting shot before he left Real Madrid. He seemed to have messaged around a load of Real Madrid players to say, look, don't take a pay cut, because they only want to use the money to go and sign Kylian Mbappe or Erling Haaland. So it looks like with the amount of money Chelsea may be looking to offer for Haaland, that they could be absolutely blown out of the water on that one. So maybe Salah could be somebody who I don't know how they'd fund it and how they get away with it, but you know, we've seen Real Madrid pull some strokes in the past, so yeah, I'm worried. Love Liverpool to get Tielemans would be costly, said Angus Court. Very costly, mate. Probably, you know, roughly about 60 million if you're to believe what's being written about Yuri Tielemans. And, you know, again, everything that we've seen around, not just signings for midfield, but even in an attacking sense, the vibe coming out of Liverpool seems to be that we're going to look outside of the Premier League because that's where the club deem there to be better value. And that's something I probably can't argue with them on. You know, as much as I'd like some players who are Premier League proven and ready, and there are some fine players in the league who we've been linked with, I do understand why they would look to the continent, why they'd look to Europe, why they'd look to maybe France or Germany or Spain and think that there's better value to be had there because you don't have to pay that premium. And then at the same time, we do know that, you know, you can only have, 17 overseas players in your 26-man squad or something like that. So they've got to keep that in mind as well, which is why you'll hear the talk about outgoings. There's some talk today about outgoings as well, but I want to just get your feeling on Mohamed Salah's situation right now. So if you guys have a minute and you wouldn't mind putting your comments in around Salah, I'd like to spend a minute or two seeing how you feel about the Mohamed Salah situation, because, you know, I'm very aware that I have a platform to talk about it, but I want you guys to have your say as well. They can sell another car park for 300 million, said Brian Morrissey. Yes, creativity, Brian. You do love to see a bit of creativity, fella. What's your prediction for Liverpool's first 3 Premier League matches? Win, win and win. Win, win and win. Dubs all around, mate. W's everywhere. How are you? I'm okay, Edward. I hope you are as well, dude. Was Liverpool listed in Sancho before he joined United? I mean, look, I think every top club in Europe would have at least inquired about Jadon Sancho. I mean, it would be bad business not to inquire, wouldn't it? But United laid the groundwork down there for Sancho for a very, very long time, and they offered a wage package that we simply wouldn't offer, or couldn't offer, even if he was willing to. And I don't know, maybe he had his mind set up on United a long time ago. But what we do know is he's going to be a United player, so... You know, would I have had him at Liverpool? Of course. I'd be an idiot to sit here and say I wouldn't have had him at Liverpool. I mean, I think most of us realise he's a fine footballer. And I'm not the type of fella who comes on here and belittles other people's players, unless we're talking about the Hazard-Salah argument, because I love to wind up the Hazard fanboys just a little bit. Craig, do you know where the Wirral is? Yes, of course I know where the Wirral is, mate. I don't know, no, mate, don't know anything about Liverpool. Is it in England? I've heard it's in England, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure you're being smart, Ars. You're probably not, but yes, mate, I do know where the Wirral is. I love Salah and I'd be gutted if he leaves. I wouldn't take any money for Salah, said Daniel Linehan. I'm with you, mate. I don't want him to go either. I want Mohamed Salah to sign a new deal, and, you know, what is he now, 29? Easy 4 years, 33, he'd still be in fine form. Look at the shape that the man's in. Look how well he looks after himself in pre-season and all. He's not somebody that goes up and down or fluctuates in weight. So, yeah, for me, I'm with you. I mean, I want him to sign a new deal badly. Papa Perez is broke, but I'm worried about PSG, says Abdullah. Yes, that's been my big worry, mate, because, you know, for them, it looks like they're going to reverse another truckload of money up to Mbappe's house and say, okay, 2 truckloads of money wasn't enough, mate. Is 3 truckloads of money enough? And if we still keep saying you can keep reversing those trucks up, the answer is going to be no. Then they do have to look to a contingency plan, and they will have to plan for the future. And the future would either be Harry Kane or Mohamed Salah, from everything that I've read over the last few months. Otavio, gone very quiet, Oscar. So... It's funny because every time we're linked with a player now, Grujic's name seems to be involved in this conversation somewhere. So, you know, we spoke about Porto, and of course they're interested in Marko Grujic, and rightly so, because they're, you know, he's a good player and he did really well there. So we've been linked to Otavio, and we've been linked to a couple of other Porto players. And now we've seen Marko Grujic linked elsewhere, and again, links have come in for us to other players who I don't think we're interested in. So I think Grujic will move on wherever's best for Marko Grujic to Liverpool with regards to the financial package. But Otavio's gone very quiet. You know, his agent even went as far as to come out and say, okay, that 40 million euro, I think it was, release clause expired at the end of June. We're now at the start of July. It's gone up, but Porto would still be willing to negotiate. So again, I don't think there's much to it, but we could all be surprised. Mo Salah is indispensable, says IDR. Any news on outgoings? Yes, so yes, there's some more news on Shaqiri. Where are we? Oh, sorry, yeah. While I'm talking about Grujic, that leads me into Sassuolo and of course Berardi, who Liverpool have been linked with. And look, we do need, let me just get Mo off the screen so people don't get confused there. So we do know that Sassuolo look at Grujic as a potential replacement for Locatelli, I think it is. Is it Locatelli who may move on from there? And look, that's great for us. If you've got multiple clubs wanting to sign your player, you know, hopefully in an ideal world that should drive Grujic's price up a little bit. But do I think that Liverpool are really interested in Berardi? It's always struck me as no. But, you know, I have been wrong before and I will be wrong again. But I just see this as easy links. And this one says Liverpool remain interested in Sassuolo winger Domenico Berardi, who would be available for around 40 to 50 million euro. Although the Serie A club want Marko Grujic, could leave a swap deal on the cards. And surprise, surprise, that comes from Sassuolo News. So yeah, I mean, often at times these I think are just put out there to try and get the vibes going, you know, put the cards in another club's favour. So, you know, Grujic will move definitely, but I just never seen the Berardi links as being ones that would be genuine. Herman said, do you want Saul? Yeah, I mean, I'm quite easy when it comes to that midfield scenario, because do I like Saul? 26 years of age, bulletproof, very good midfielder, being coached by Simeone, knows the dark arts, you know, knows how to work in a system, multiple systems, and at the price point mentioned, yes, I would have no problem with signing Saul. I'd have no problem with signing Renato Sanchez. I'd have no problem with signing probably 4 or 5 other players. But it's what's realistic and what might actually happen. So that leads us all to the new sexy name of the day, really, which is bollocks. Where's he gone? Here he is. Houssem Aouar, the latest one to be yet again linked to Liverpool, and this one comes from a very reliable person, to be honest, because anybody who watches the BT Gold Show, or anybody who, you know, knows Julien Laurent, you'll know he's very, very much well known in French football. He's a very high level journalist, somebody who I would hold in very high regard, and he said that Liverpool are interested in Houssem Aouar and could make an offer soon. That makes me quite happy, because I like Houssem Aouar. We've had conversations for years about Houssem Aouar. Arsenal made a move from before, but what we do know is we have a nickname for Jean-Michel Aulas on this channel. I don't really want to say it because I don't want to get streamed to get demonetized, but let's call him Johnny See You Next Thursday Locks, is what we used to call him on the channel, because he's very, very difficult negotiator. But it looks like Houssem Aouar has looked around and seen Memphis Depay leaving and seen other players leaving, and he wants him a move. And to be fair, he probably deserves a move. So what would you guys feel about Houssem Aouar coming to Liverpool? I mean, bit of a wild card, mainly plays as a central mid or in an attacking mid, has come off the left hand side a few times as well for Lyon. Could we see him maybe playing the hole behind the front three? It would be interesting. Now, wouldn't be in my eyes a Gini Wijnaldum straight replacement, but would definitely provide creativity, would definitely provide some ability for whipping in crosses and set pieces, and somebody who, look, I'd be very happy with him. I won't lie, I won't beat around the bush. If we'd signed Houssem Aouar, I'd be happy. Yeah, Brian's put the name in there. Good man, Brian. You can write it in, but I can't say it. Renato Sanchez or Aouar. Well, look, I'll be honest with you, the Aouar link excites me a lot more, because, you know, what we seen of Gini Wijnaldum at Liverpool was a very disciplined, a very well versed, a very well educated, a very energetic, bulletproof player. But the Gini Wijnaldum you've seen for the Netherlands was basically a number 10 who was getting into the box, making third man runs, helping score and supply goals. So you could see how all around Gini Wijnaldum would appeal to a lot of clubs, because he can be used in a whole host of positions. I like the idea of Aouar because I like the idea of somebody who can play between the lines, somebody who can link up play, somebody who can find a little bit of space, somebody who has a bit of magic at their feet. And that excites me a lot more than any of the other names. Look, it isn't it's a lot easier to look at Gini leaving and go Saul, Renato Sanchez. I mean, yes, very more similar players, but Houssem Aouar is one that will get me up off my seat a little bit more, get me a little bit more excited about the prospect of banging in a few more goals. So yeah, I'd happily have Houssem Aouar. I don't know about you guys. Give me a thumbs up if you would take Houssem Aouar, or give me a thumbs down with the player you'd rather. I mean, it's no secret. I put out a video there today called My Ideal Liverpool Transfer Window, which I tried to be realistic with. So if you guys get a chance, please do watch that later on. I think it's about 15 minutes long or so. But yeah, I tried to be realistic in my outlook of what I would like Liverpool to have done this summer if, you know, we could. I went through the outgoings first. I'm liking the love here for Houssem Aouar. Jack the Footy Man said Basuma. Look, Basuma would be, if you're looking for somebody to come in and be Genie, I think you've got that right, man. Yves Basuma, quality, and could do Genie things in a very Genie-esque way. But if we're looking for something a little bit different, maybe something to provide a bit more of a spark going forward, I think that the Aouar thing makes loads of sense in that as well. And it would be a little bit of a shake-up from Jurgen Klopp, perhaps. See, I've always looked at the central midfield position at Liverpool like this. We've got Milner, we've got Hendo, we've got Thiago, we've got Fabinho, we've got Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, we've got Curtis Jones. So we've got a lot of water carriers, for want of a better phrase. And I mean that in the most complimentary term. We've a lot of good engined, well-disciplined, fit players that can get up and down the pitch. But we have lacked the ability to break teams down at times. Teams that sit deep, we often rely on a 40-yard diag from the centre-backs, or, you know, using the width of Trent and Andy Robertson to get in early crosses. And we've often questioned, do we need somebody to come in and maybe offer something a little bit different? Thiago can certainly do that, but this guy would add another dimension again, so it gets me quite excited. Now, again, normally I'd bat these things away a little bit, but Julien Laurens is a very well-respected journalist, and as I said, there aren't many people that have their finger on the pulse of French football much better than him. So who the hell am I to doubt his statement that Liverpool could be preparing an offer for the player? I mean, it gets me really happy and excited, and yeah, I like it. Yasir said he'd definitely take Houssem Aouar. Thank you for the super chat, dude. Loads of thumbs up as well. Yeah, see, Adita has raised a really good point. Craig, do you think Leon will do business after what happened with the Fekir deal? Yeah, you see, there is that as well. I mean, we can't sit here and say that we haven't had a bit of a back and forth with Leon publicly, and I'm sure privately, over the deal for Nabil Fekir. But again, football is a business, and at the end of the day, these people have to do what's right for the business. And if the player wants to move and Liverpool are the club he'd like to move to, I don't think it would be too much of an impediment to a deal being done, albeit, you know, he might play even more hardball, Jean-Michel Aulas, the Lyon president, than perhaps he already has. And he is known as being a very tough negotiator, by the way. I mean, think of him as the French Daniel Levy. Craig shrinking under the table. Yeah, that tends to happen as I do the stream, Cedric. I kind of go down like this, mate. I've noticed it when I've watched it back. If the owners can't splash 20 million on Daka, then I got no hope. See, Oscar, we're all assuming that we wanted Patson Daka and that he turned us down. Now, did we track Patson Daka? Had we an interest in him? 100%. Perhaps we couldn't guarantee him enough game time. Perhaps Patson Daka felt like a move to Leicester would be a better move from at this point of his career. So, you know, I don't think it was necessarily down to the fact that we couldn't afford the player. I think it was maybe a whole host of factors. One of them being that we don't really play with an out-and-out number 9. But, you know, Leicester have got themselves a fine player there, no doubt about that one. Money talks at Leon, said Brian. Yep. With Depay gone, it's unlikely. Think of it the other way, mate. With Depay gone, and gone for free, by the way, they didn't get a cent for him. they're going to want to rebuild a little bit, aren't they? And bringing in some money for Houssem Aouar could actually help do that. And, you know, again, I'll point you back to the part where I said that Houssem Aouar is a little bit unhappy at seeing other players leave Lyon, whereas, you know, he's had moves blocked in the past. What do I think of Musialowski? Well, he signed a new deal at the club, which is great. 18 years of age. Brilliant to see him tie himself down to a new deal, but the plan seems to be that he's going to go into the under-23s for the season ahead. And let's keep an eye on the guy, because again, it looks like we've got ourselves a very good, talented player there. Arsenal just paid £50 million for Ben White. Yeah, I mean, I said to you guys last year that, you know, we monitored Ben White, we looked at Ben White, but we didn't think that Ben White was value, hence Ibrahima Konate coming in. I'm not going to sit here and knock Ben White as a centre back. I still think Ben White is a very good centre back, and you know, he's going to Arsenal by the looks of it. But you know, how do I say this without being disrespectful to Arsenal? He's going in there knowing that there's a project on the table at Arsenal right now, and obviously backing himself. So there you go. Musialowski, the Polish Messi, certainly who he models himself on. He's been open about that. He loves to look at the way Messi dribbles, the way he goes through players, and you know, I mean, I'm all for it, mate. I mean, hype him up. But Arsenal are fucked, said Brian. They they are. He's making a big mistake going to Arsenal, said Eugene. Look, I don't like to be disrespectful to anybody, I really don't, but Arsenal definitely are in a bit of a situation now where they probably have to overpay for certain players, and I recognise this situation because, hell, we were in that situation for quite a few years where you either overpaid for a player that you were taking a punt on, like Lazar Markovic, and bring him in on high wages because you can't offer him Champions League football or any of that kind of stuff. But what can happen in those situations, and what has happened at Arsenal, although they've gotten rid of some of the dead wood there, is that they ended up with players who are fairly average but on a very high wage. So that's a situation they've got to be careful of here as well. But like, I'm not gonna slag off Ben White because I stand over what I say. I still think Ben White will be a good centre back. But I agree. I don't think Arsenal was the best move for him. I think he should have. He probably should have stuck it out until somebody else came in from. But that's just my take on it. But at the end of the day, if he's going to go to Arsenal, he's going to go to Arsenal. Who would I take out of Doku, Neto and Barnes? Yeah, if you watch my my ideal summer window, actually, I talk about at least two of those in the video. And for me, you know, all those three names, Harvey Barnes, because Premier League proven. I think he would absolutely just understand the style of football we play under Jurgen Klopp and would fit into it perfectly. But you know what? In the same breath, I'll tell you that I'd happily have any of those three lads at Liverpool. I like Pedro Neto. I very much like Jeremy Doku. But yeah, Harvey Barnes is somebody who Liverpool have definitely been looking at with fluttering eyelashes from a distance. So let's wait and see. How long will it be before we see a player being sold for $1 billion? You never know. I mean, some part of me thinks this football ecosystem bubble has to at least stall, if not burst, at some point, because some of the numbers are nuts. I know I can see people in the chat saying Doku all day, and look, Doku's class, don't get me wrong. You know, he's the winger I think we should go for in this window because of a whole host of factors: age, price, potential availability. You know, whereas Leicester won't want to lose Harvey Barnes, and rightly so. Would I take Musiala? Nope, probably not. And I don't think that. Am I thinking of the right guy here? Sorry, am I thinking of the youngster from Bayern Munich? Because bear in mind, my head's up my arse today. So if I'm thinking of a different guy, then apologies. But if I'm thinking of the guy from Bayern Munich, you know, Bayern Munich probably wouldn't want to sell him. If it's the same guy, you know, there's so many young footballers breaking through that, you know, my old boomer brain sometimes gets a bit confused. How much would Doku be? I'm guessing 30 would get it done. from what I've read. But yeah, and that's pound, by the way. So if you're looking at euro, that's what, 34, 35 million euro, something like that. Remove Aouar from the screen. Well, oh, I would have if you asked nicely, but now I'm just going to leave him there to be a prat, because if it's annoying you, mate, and you know you couldn't have asked nicely, then go fuck yourself, and I'll leave him there just because I know it annoys you. That works for me. So yeah, no matter who we talk about now, I'm just going to keep leaving Houssem Aouar up on the screen because you were an arsehole. Craig, thoughts on Connor's ankle? That it's not his ankle, it's his tibia that broke, and he's had his operation and titanium plate, I think, put in, and yeah, he'll be, you know, he'll be back off crutches in 6 weeks. Dana White reckons it could be a year before you see him back in the octagon. But he also came out and said that there were stress fractures in his shin bone before, but you know, whatever. At the end of the day, it broke. He lost. We move on. I think Musialowski should go to the Championship on loan. I think Liverpool want to keep him in house, mate, and you know, that's part of the whole reason why we've got Kirby, that new fantastic training facility, is that Kloppo can skirt between the two. We can have a look at the underage players and, you know, bring them up to train with the first team, see how they get on, drop them back down, watch the under-23s, loads of stuff like that. So, I mean, that's why I think he won't go on loan. And he'll, you know, he's eligible to still play under-18, by the way. So, to jump up to under-23s, if he stands out there and shines there, then again, you know, the next step then could be either a go on the first team or a loan somewhere. I thought you were talking about Connor Crosby. No. Connor Crosby's ankle and shin is perfectly fine from what I'm aware. Do you think Elliott will break into the first team this season? Yes, I do, and that's definitely the plan anyway. No, it's Conor McGregor we were talking about there. Definitely not Crosby. Crosby's absolutely sound, I can promise you that one. Nothing wrong with Mr. Crosby. Would you take the little magician Phil back at Anfield, Craig? Unless we're short of a tea lady or something. No, Felipe Coutinho can rot as far as I'm concerned. And he got himself into his dream move, and his dream move hasn't worked out too well for him. So, am I a bit bitter about that? Yeah. Do I say fuck Coutinho a little bit? Yeah. Did I enjoy him when he was here, though? Absolutely. And I agree with you. Little Magician was what I would have called him when he was here, and loved every minute of him playing for Liverpool Football Club. But, yeah, I have a bit of a sore spot around the Coutinho situation, if I'm being honest. It still does sting a little bit. Thoughts on Cade Gordon? Great talent, as we know. Signed him from... I'm going to have to give in now and get rid of Houssem Aouar off the screen, because I can hear Connor shouting at me from the other side of Wexford now, telling me to get it down off the screen. So Cade Gordon is the guy we signed from Derby. He's out in Austria right now with the first team training, and somebody who is, again, a huge talent, and somebody who we fought off competition to sign. But it's a tough step up. The last step in this process from, you know, the under-23s or whatever up to the first team or any first team is the toughest step. So all we can do is, you know, keep our fingers crossed, know that he's working with some excellent coaches there at Liverpool, and hope that we see a little bit of him. I think we'll see him pre-season anyway, definitely. Teo Awioni, I know a lot of people have been asking about him. Looks like, you know, he's got his work permit and all, but it still does look like the plan is to sell the dude from what I've been reading. 8 to 12 million if my memory's right, but my God, he is a big lad, isn't he? I seen him jogging around trading the other day, and whew, fucking hell, he's a big dude. What about buying Axel Witsel? I don't think that's not the right type of midfielder that we need, mate. We have Fabinho, and you know, it's weird. I always think of Axel Witsel as a kind of another Marouane Fellaini for some reason. I just see him as that style of footballer. I've never really appreciated Axel Witsel as much as some other people. How long is Salah's contract? He's into his final 2 years of it now, so just about into the final 2 years of his contract. So yeah, that's why, you know, there could be good news on Alisson's contract very soon. It looks like there could be. There's certainly been some murmurings that Alisson could be very close to announcing a new deal at the club, and that's no shock. We knew Alisson, Fabinho, Van Dijk were all going to be offered new deals. You know, Salah's the one we're all waiting on as well with bated breath. Babosh, mate, I'm only winding you up, fella. I mean, if I don't know if you're new, I don't think you are. I'm sure I recognise your name, but I'm just sarcastic, mate. So never take anything I say to heart. So don't worry, dude. It's all good. It's all just meant as fun and banter. No hard feelings at my end whatsoever, dude. I think Musialowski should be a seventh winger. So we're getting greedy here, because we have Salah, Mane, Jota, Elliott, Shaqiri, and Minamino. Well, Shaqiri be going out the door. Minamino, heaven only knows what the plan there is, and I mean that sincerely. I genuinely don't know what the plan is for Taki. But I mean, Musialowski, while he's at Liverpool, while he's in the under-23s, nothing's off the table. So, he could play in a cup game later on in the season. We'll have to wait and see. Aouar would be my number one target, said Dom Howard. What about the left wing situation, Jota or Mane? See, I'll give you the same answer I always give, mate. Different games will require a different setup. Players will need to be rested and rotated, and different players might be more beneficial against different fullbacks or against different teams that line up in a different way. And what I always say is, thank goodness we do have the option of having Jota or Mane or Firmino or Salah or Elliott. Because look, I said Elliott in this sentence because I really rate him highly, but none of us can deny the drop off from what we have had to a Divock Origi or a Shaqiri has been rather steep, and that's the reason why we're hearing a lot of Liverpool looking to clear players out before we make any more signings, mainly because the last thing we need to be saddled with is players who, don't really have a future at the club, but we're still paying wages to. Will you ever go full-time YouTube? I hope to at some point, yeah, definitely. I mean, I thought I would have sorted it out over the last couple of weeks, but my head has been all over the place because of a personal issue. But not that far away. Hopefully soon. Things are definitely going in the right direction. So hopefully I'll be able to say yes, I am a YouTuber at some point. Do I think Elliott is better than Shaqiri? I think he certainly has a much higher ceiling than Shaqiri, but comparing an untested 18-year-old with somebody who has been playing international football and been all around Europe, I think would be disingenuous of me to both of them. Who would I rather have at the club right now? 100% Harvey Elliott. That much I'll be able to say to you. Champions League next season's going to be interesting. So is the Premier League. I mean, look at the Premier League right now, and I think most of us may agree the top four would probably be the same clubs, albeit I know Leicester will be knocking on the door, but every time I look at the top four, I say to myself, yeah, it's going to be Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City and Chelsea, but I'm wrecked if I know what order it's going to be in, because you can make a genuine argument, particularly with the business that we think might happen, as to all of these clubs winning the league. So what I'll say is I'm expecting this to be the most competitive Premier League campaign, not just between two clubs. So we've often seen Liverpool and City, or United and Arsenal going back earlier days, or Chelsea and United. We've often seen those, dual races, but I think this year we could have four clubs really pushing, and it's setting up to be one hell of a campaign. And I said it on Twitter yesterday, I hate this time of the year because I'm somebody that thrives and lives off the adrenaline of watch-alongs and watching Liverpool play. And I love transfers, I love talking about them, but nothing replaces the fun of a watch-along. And I'm honestly just counting the days down till we get back playing. Keita for Saul swap deal. I mean, would I take that swap deal? It's a tough one. I mean, it's a really good question, because I did make that video I spoke about earlier on today, my ideal summer, and it did involve a potential sale of Naby Keita. Not because I don't rate the lad, not because I don't like the lad, but because he doesn't seem to be able to get a steady run of games together. played against Real Madrid, having been out for a while, looked absolutely lost in that game. And if my memory's right, I don't think we've seen him since. So that would, I probably would. But, you know, another part of me would hate to see him go somewhere else, sort out his fitness and become the player that we all thought that he could be. So I'm glad that I'm not the one that has to make these decisions, because there's some really difficult decisions there. Cedric said, much love to you, fam, and the dog. Oh, thank you, mate. I love that you included the dog. Thank you. Much love back to you as well, dude. Am I making an FPL team? Oh, I'll make one, Tobias, definitely. And it'll be shite, as it always is, because every year I go in and I do an FPL team. And it's not that I don't give it the attention. I do. I'm just shit at it. I'm terrible. I don't know why, but, you know, I like to think I'm a dude that has a bit of football and knowledge, but every time I play FPL, I think I'm blinded by names rather than looking into the stats. As a Barca fan, would I take Ricky Puig at Liverpool? Koeman doesn't give him enough game time. I'm also a Barca fan, by the way. You know, most people that watch the channel know that. It's Liverpool, then Barca, then I don't really care after that. So, Ricky Puig, very talented youngster. It looks like Ansu Fati, Pedri, probably further along or gonna get more game time. Ricky Puig, would I have him at Liverpool? Do you know, it's a tough one, that, mate. I think there's probably more polished youngsters available, but I did think when he broke through, I mean, I remember when I was at the launch of La Liga TV, just dropping names there, and I was speaking to Graham Hunter, just dropping names there, and Guillaume Balaguer, dropping names there. I was asked to do my La Liga team of the next decade, and if I'm not mistaken, I did include Ricky Puig in that La Liga team of the next decade. So yeah, I've always looked out for the lad, but you're right, he hasn't been getting a lot of game time really. Mbappe for Salah, ideal swap. You know, that's the question that, you know, I've sometimes avoided answering on the channel. Sometimes I have answered it, but I've often wondered what the general consensus would be. Would you guys take that swap? I mean, you know, I probably would, if I'm being honest with you, if we could afford his wages. But just from a playing perspective, would you guys take a swap between Kylian Mbappe and Mohamed Salah? I mean, it's a tough one because, you know, in one breath we'll all say we don't want to lose Mo, and we don't. And I understand that because we love him. He's the king. He's brilliant. But if it was a case of we're going to lose Mo and we are in a good position to maybe negotiate for Mbappe because maybe they want Mo, you know, you'd have to say it certainly would spark a conversation. No, I still think there's absolutely no way we can afford the wages. You know, I can't get past that part of it. Salah's way more consistent than Kylian. Yes, Salah is a goal scoring machine. 100% agree with you on that one. And one of my biggest fears about losing Mohamed Salah in any way has always been, how the hell do we replace those goals? Because, you know, even on his subpar seasons, Mohamed Salah guarantees you a pretty high level of goals. So, but I look at that against Kylian Mbappe as a probable future multiple Ballon d'Or winner, and I think to myself, God, what could Pep Linders and Jurgen Klopp do with Kylian Mbappe? And what would a confident Kylian Mbappe playing in front of a Kop that absolutely idolises him, with players around him that, look, I'm not saying PSG don't have good players, of course they do, but without Neymar, let's just say, and rather having a Jordan Henderson or Virgil van Dijk putting, in my opinion, better input into his ear, being probably a better environment. I mean, if I was a lady, I'd need a towel, put it that way. It you know, the idea of Mbappe in a Liverpool shirt, it does appeal to me. It always has. Of course, it was appeal to every football fan. It's a bit of a mixture there, to be fair. A few no's, a few all day longs, a few yeses, a few in the middles. And nobody's not, like, I don't think any of us are denying how great Mo is. I don't think that's even up for debate here. But there always will come a time, I suppose, where either the contract gets to a point or a player gets to an age where these awkward conversations will be had. And ideally for Liverpool, And us, we don't need to hear this conversation now because we want Mo to sign on the dotted line. But all in all, overall, I think probably for me, if Mo wanted a way out, he's the one I'd want to replace him, as unrealistic as it is. Do I think Canade will start or be a sub? I think he'll convince the manager that they'll get a start, particularly with Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk working their way back from long-term injury layoffs. I think he'll certainly get an opportunity, and then it's up to him what he does from there. I think with Salah we can win games out of absolutely nothing, which is priceless. Again, I'm not disagreeing, Ryan. His goals and his ability to occupy players, especially. I mean, you always see 2 or 3 lads on Salah, and his upper body strength is phenomenal, and the way he holds up the ball and holds up players while other players come and link up the attack, I mean, that's phenomenal. But I'm a sucker for a really pacey, wide attacking player that runs at people, which is why I like Doku so much. Which is why what I haven't liked seeing from Kylian Mbappe is, I'm going to call it the Neymar influence, the diving. That I don't like it. I know I'm a hypocrite. I know we're all hypocrites about it because, if it's our team, we're saying, yay. If it's against us, we're saying, cheating son of a, you know what. But I think he's good enough that side of the game shouldn't be something you think about immediately with Mbappe, whereas I think during the Euros, especially with the penalty that he got, that was a very, very, very soft penalty. I don't like to see that influence in his game. Is Trent back yet? Yes, he's over in Austria with the guys at the training camp with his normal hair. Fabrizio Romano said there's no chance we sign Barella. What are your thoughts? I agree. Inter Milan don't want to sell Nicolo Barella. Sorry, I made the mistake there. Put a virtual euro in the jar. So they've sold Hakimi, so they freed up some money. Lukaku wants to stay, and I think it would take a ridiculous offer that we know we're not going to make. So yeah, I mean, would I have him? 100% at Liverpool. What a footballer he is. Him, Pedri, great players. Although Barella, a few years older along. Craig, do I rate Gomez? Yes, but not at right back. I do rate him at centre back, but at right back I think he's left wanting at times and often drift inside and can be caught ball watching. So I think he's a far more effective centre back than he is at right back. So when I heard the plan that if Nico Williams moves on, that it's going to be Gomez and young Connor Bradley who are going to cover, my first instinct before I looked into Connor Bradley enough to know what a talent the guy looks like was that Joe Gomez is a little bit more suspect for me at right back. Certainly not a bad option, but not a Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I rate him as a centre back, yes, far more than I would as a right back. Aouar available for 21 million. See, that makes it sound like a Liverpool type number side, doesn't it? 21 million type of profile that he has. You could see why it would be of interest to us the way we do business, can't you? So yeah, I mean, and again, Julien Laurent, somebody who I would say is top tier when it comes to journalism. Somebody who I don't know what his transfer track record is like, but will absolutely know that the man knows French football. And I always enjoy his insights when I'm watching the BT Sports goal shows and stuff like that during the Champions League, Europa Leagues and stuff. So he's come out and said it, so I would imagine that there's certainly some truth to it. Hi Craig, what do you think of the news that City have agreed personal terms with Grealish? I would never have imagined that would have been an issue. I think the issue will be agreeing the deal with Aston Villa. Tough one for Jack Grealish because he has been loyal to Villa to some extent. But Villa have also in turn built a far better team than the one he came up with. So they've brought in some good signings. You look sometimes maybe from the outside at the money that they've spent and go, are they perhaps preparing for Jack Grealish to go? So, I would have never thought that the personal terms would have been an issue. For me, it would always be the agreement with Aston Villa that might cause a bit more of a headache. Would I have Vlahovic from Fiorentina? I know of his record, Jack, and I know that he's been mentioned, but I won't lie and say that I've sat here and watched him play for Fiorentina. I haven't. So I'm not the best placed person to give you an answer on him, mate. You know, I see his name bandied around every now and again, but Neymar gets blamed for everything. Oh, definitely. And if I'm around anything with Neymar and it goes wrong, I'll be blaming him. I won't even lie about it. I don't like him. I'll blame him on anything I can. We have our own Grealish and Harvey Elliott, give it 2 years. Yep, and we also have Curtis Jones, who's another player that's just going to keep continuing to develop and get better and better. Shaqiri for Milinkovic-Savic swap deal. Yeah, the whole Milinkovic-Savic situation really odd, isn't it? Because he seems to have been linked with a big money move for at least 3 or 4 years now, but yet still is where he is. I mean, I know United had been linked with him strongly. I remember some clubs in Spain being linked with Milinkovic-Savic. I mean, it could have even been Atleti if my memory's not mistaken. Sorry, I'm just looking through my notes here. I think Connor had sent me something. Actually, by the way, good news for Irish football fans, because the FAI have got the Europa League final for 2024 in the Aviva Stadium, so that's good news for us. We might I might try and get a ticket to that in 3 years' time. Shaqiri, yeah, I don't see the Shaqiri for Milinkovic-Savic swap deal. I think it's another one of those they might want Shaqiri, because Lazio have definitely been a club that have been interested in Shaqiri, but you know, I've never really seen or heard of any genuine interest for us in Milinkovic-Savic. Would I take Anthony from Ajax? I was actually reading an article about him the other day, mate, about, you know, great up-and-coming players. And what I've always said about anybody who plays for Ajax is you're going to be technically proficient, aren't you? You're going to be very good. But I'll be honest with you and say I've only read about the lad so much as I don't know enough to say if I could see him at Liverpool. This is where, you know, I always appreciate the feedback from you guys on stuff like this. People who probably have watched a lot more of the dude than I have. Fabrizio tweet Craig. Right, 1 second. Let me have a little look. I mean, I love that this is a thing now. Fabrizio tweet, quick run. He's never been one that's really been that active on Liverpool, actually, has he, Fabrizio Romano? Right, let's have a look. What has he been having to say while we're live on stream? Another day of negotiations. There's still no final agreement between Barcelona and Atletico for Griezmann, so swap deal talks ongoing but no agreement yet. Seoul has received bids from Premier League clubs and Atleti are prepared to sell. I mean, yeah, so again, no news. It's the same old, same old. You know, we've heard the whole Liverpool are waiting in the wings, but how long do you wait? Do you know what I mean? Like, unless Liverpool know that he might dig his heels in and that's where he wants to go, I mean, it's all just a guessing game. I mean, I love that he's some man for one man. I'll give him that one. He can update without an update, and I respect it, because I wish I could do it. I wish I could come on with an update that's no update, but is an update on the update I gave yesterday that was no real update on the update before that. That, you know, people are still talking, player still player, footballer still a footballer. Breaking news, here we go maybe down the line. Yeah, I wish I could get away with that, but fair play to him. Why don't we go back for Fekir? Oh, mate, that bridge is well and truly burnt. You know, I have a reason I believe, and other people have reasons that they believe it didn't happen, but it's not going to happen again, put it that way. If we sign Aouar, he can play as a 10 and a 4-2-3-1, which gives one of the front four a rest each week. Yes, or you could flip that around a little bit again, mate, and go 4-2-1-3, which would be probably more likely for me. What do I think of no green kits in Serie A? Immediately your mind goes to Sassuolo, doesn't it? Because, you know, they've got green in their kit. So for those that aren't aware, no primary green colour kits are going to be allowed in Serie A anymore. I believe it's to do with, you know, television cameras and people who are colourblind or have issues with colours. It's an odd one, but, you know, bit of a shit one if your kit's been green for all those years. But yeah, interesting. I don't really know what else to say about it. Could you be interested in signing Damsgaard? A bit of match of the day fever for me on Damsgaard, but the honest answer is he's at Sampdoria, isn't he? I genuinely don't know what the situation is there. I mean, he very much impressed all of us, I think, with his performance for Denmark during the Euros. That free kick as well was pretty special, even though I still think Jordan Pickford was too far to his left-hand side. I don't know, mate, is the honest answer. I'm always up for the club signing young prospects, young, high-quality prospects for the future. I'm always up for the club doing that. Opinions on Berardi? I don't think it's gonna. It doesn't make sense for me when I see somebody who's been at Sassuolo his entire career, done well. I mean, his goal scoring record and his ratio is pretty good at Sassuolo, but that's Sassuolo. You know, it's at 26 years of age. It just doesn't strike me as the right time. I mean, yeah, no, I would say no, but you know, they want Marko Grujic, we know that, so I can see where the links are there, but I don't believe them personally. Wouldn't you consider Doku match of the day fever? No, Tom, because we brought Jeremy Doku to Liverpool when he was 16, showed him around the facilities and tried to sign him as a 16-year-old. The story goes that Lukaku was brought in to try and convince him to stay in Belgium. He did, then moved to France and has built himself up and developed into a good player. So our interest in Jeremy Doku goes back a long, long time, which is why I always say to you, Liverpool don't make reactionary transfers. Liverpool are a club that have been looking at players for 3, 4, 5 years before we do anything at times. So yeah, definitely not match of the day fever on Jeremy Doku, mate. Fabrizio has an update on Sol. If you were in the stream literally 2 minutes ago, mate, you'd have heard me say, I mean, what a man. The only fella I know who can get away with an update that isn't any update. As I keep saying, it is, you know, fair play to him. I wish I could get away with it. Breaking news on Anfield Agenda, breaking news, here we go, breaking news. Do you remember the stuff I told you yesterday? Yeah, well, today was a little bit more of the same stuff that I told you yesterday, so, you know, watch this space. So, yeah, I mean, why not? But yeah, he did. There's no news, mate. The news is that there's no news, basically. It's just rewording the same interest in a different way every day. Doku's still very young, but he had an underwhelming season. But that will happen. I mean, you look at the path of Renato Sanchez's career as well, and you got peaks and troughs. It happens with young players, so again, doesn't surprise me. You know, I would say don't read too much into it because he's still young. When are we going to get rid of some players? See, that's the priority. That's the priority. Is Ozalia? That's the priority, yeah. So right now we know Awioni, Origi, Shaqiri, Grujic, Wilson, Ben Woodburn, Karius. I'm probably forgetting one or two more. Every single one of those players I've mentioned have a price that will see Liverpool happily sell them. Nico Williams would be a scenario if he wants to move and ask Liverpool for it. I think the club would accept about 10 million for him. And on top of that, Nat Phillips, I think, may be the only other one. I don't think Liverpool would happily keep Phillips, by the way, I think, from what I've read. But for him and his footballing future, if the right offer came in, I think now is the right time to sell him because his stock is at an all-time high. So there's that as well. But, you know, it's easy me listing off all those players there, but Michael Edwards and the club have to find buyers, and they have to find people who are willing to pay these guys a wage that they're happy with as well. So, you know, it's a lot easier for me to sit here and play fantasy manager than it is for the club to go out there and, you know, round up buyers for these guys. Yasir said, I'm sorry, but do I hate Fabrizio Romano? Not at all. No, not at all. Why would I hate Fabrizio Romano? No, I'm if anything, I'm extremely jealous of Fabrizio Romano, mate. I mean, I don't hate him. I just admire tremendously how he's got everybody every day hanging on his every word. I mean, I'd love to be in that position. So certainly not hate, just huge jealousy, if anything, mate. No, Jesus, I don't hate many people in life, mate, and I don't begrudge anyone doing well. And Fabrizio Romano has carved himself a lovely little niche. So no, definitely no hate from me, mate. I mean, Fabrizio, go do your thing, man. Get paid. you know, you've got one life. Live your best life. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try get my head in the right place so I can go and live my best life. So appreciate you coming on tonight again. Apologies, it was a bit late. You know, that was purely my fault. So check out my ideal summer transfer window video. Don't forget to go back and check out this week's One Football News video as well. Yeah, that's about it for tonight's stream, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys have a cracking weekend. Lots of love to you all. I will see you very soon. Thank you for showing this little overweight bald Irish fella some love again. And yeah, nothing but love to all you guys. Have a cracking weekend, and I will see you soon. Oh yeah, and maybe hit the subscribe button and the like button as well on your way out if you haven't done so already. Thank you.